See, now, dude, why wouldn't you save that for the air? That's a great line.
It is. Wait, I just recorded it. I did record it.
But you didn't walk us in yet.
Oh, that's true. It's going to be the egg. It's the egg. I don't know. A little soon for the joke. All right. Hold on. Stand by. I got notes this time. Okay. What's up, everybody? Welcome back to another episode of your favorite podcast in the world, starring Mike Walter. There he is.
Hello, everybody. How are you? Favorite ever in the world.
And it's Joe Bunn back again with another episode. What's up, Mike? Everything good?
How are you, Joe? I know I was the one who said let's stop counting over a year ago. This is 112.
I know.
It's amazing. 112.
Remember that group, 112? It was one of Puff Daddy's groups?
I do. That's right. Yeah. Great R&B.
It was great R&B.
Yeah.
That song, Cupid, that was a jam.
Yeah.
Well,
hey, I got do you know Micah Leveris?
Yeah. I know I see him on the...
He's Jake's co-MC for the Entertainer of the Year,
Okay.
Very. He's all over Atlantic City.
That's convention. Right. That's how
he hit me up last week. He said that he listens to this podcast in the car with his 15-month-old daughter, and she thinks that our voices are hysterical. He says she cracks up the entire time. So first of all, I apologize to him about teaching his daughter curse words, and I said I'd give her a shout out. So Melody Ray, thank you so much for listening. Don't use the bad words that Mike and Joe used. Do not use those.
Do not.
Yeah.
You know what else?
Melody Ray. Isn't that a beautiful name?
That is a pretty name.
Yeah.
I can see a little kid sitting in the back thinking this was hilarious.
Yeah.
But yeah, I love hearing, stories about people listening to podcasts, this podcast, and binge listening and stuff like that. It just, I don't know. It inflates Mike and I's ego to the
definitely. It keeps us going.
It really does keep us going. So, Mike, I touched briefly yesterday about this subject with you about via text, but as I sat down this morning at my favorite coffee shop, it got even more elaborate, and it was sparked by, and we'll get to this, it'll come full circle, much like you did last week, where I was like, where is this going?
Where is he going with this? And P.S., not everybody appreciated that. I looked at some of the comments on YouTube, and a few people were like, dude, that guy with the chain was all over the place. And I was like, I guess it's weird because that's usually you, but that was me last week. I was wearing a chain around my neck, and I was like, yeah, I guess I was kind of all over the place last week.
It got all over the place. Yeah. But
so we'll try to stay on topic this week. Sorry, dude.
Sorry, one dude on YouTube.
Yeah, I've already strayed off by saying hello to Melody. We've already lost that guy. I'm sorry.
God forbid we shout out a child. I do remember what I was going to say.
Yeah.
Earlier, I was about to say, I think we need to go in the hosting platform or iTunes and change. I think they made me, when I signed up, check explicit or is there R-rated content or curse words?
Oh, check no?
Yeah. We may get banned. Yeah. I hope we don't get banned. I got to go back in there. So coming around to today's topic is I want to talk, Mike, a little bit about the role of the DJ or the role of what we do and how much, somebody like you and I that have been doing this, a long, long time, 30 years, how much it's grown, how many hats we have to wear, I guess is a better
Yeah, it's funny when you sent me this as an idea. I remember. I don't know if you remember or even know. KC had a DJ magazine for about 3 months. I think he put out 3 or 4 issues before he had to go to bed. And I was a contributor, and I contributed a fairly lengthy article about this topic, about the different roles and hats that we have to wear, because it's a big part of my training as well. I think when you're training a new guy or gal, you need to educate them on the fact that you're not just showing up to play music, especially at a wedding. There are definitely a number of different hats. So I think it's a great topic, and it's something that needs to be touched on.
When was that, Mike? Like what year was that?
And I want to say 15 years ago. Yeah.
Early 2000.
Yeah. I remember talking to the guys at DJ Times about it, and they were like, yeah, he's launching a magazine at the absolute worst time because magazines are, struggling and going under. Why would you, it's like opening up a video store right now.
Right now. Yeah.
Yeah.
With VHS tapes.
Right.
So I started, one of my first topics was going to be, you're a roadie or a setup guy or a strike guy. And then I was like, well, wait a minute. It really starts before that. And it reminded me last week that we are almost shrinks or psychotherapists. I sat down in the
planning process.
Yeah. And I sat down and you've heard this story. And as soon as I get to it, you're going to be like, I can't tell you how many times a bride has told me this, but I sat down at a wine bar with the bride-to-be, her fiance, and her mother. Mm-hmm. And they didn't want to come here. They wanted to meet this wine bar. It was super loud, and I had my laptop, set up, and I'm kind of running through my presentation like I usually do, but kind of fast-forwarding it. I mean, I already could just tell. They were just like, you're the guy.
Right.
But at the very end, I said, do you have any questions? And her mother goes, she is having nightmares about this. And I said, and I put my finger up like this and I go, I bet I know what the nightmare is. You wake up terrified that nobody danced or nobody's dancing. Has a bride ever told you that?
Yeah.
That I've had nightmares that nobody's going to dance.
I don't like to bring up the negative, but if a bride says, I'm stressing or I'm having nightmares, we talk about it. And a lot of times it's services not showing, I get to my reception and the florist never showed or blah, blah, blah.
Sure.
But some of them say, an empty dance floor all night long is a fear. And, you can only assure them that you're going to do the absolute best and, read my reviews. And I think you'll see that we do a good job of that. But I think you're right. A big part of what we do is alleviating stress and,
it's almost like
nightmares.
Yeah, it's like a shrink. It's like a motivational coach. It's like a pump you up guy. Like it's so much more. Like even leading up to it.
Right. So you're talking about the sales process. You can even go back one step further.
Back it on up.
We're marketers. We have to market our services unless we're big enough to have a marketing division, which I only know a few DJ companies that are. You're probably hustling, which nowadays means a lot of social media stuff.
100%.
And also if you're smart networking, you're getting out there and you're glad handing and you're meeting the professionals in your area on a regular basis. And whether that's through showcases or, popping into places. But marketing is a big part of what we do even before the sales.
100%. I didn't even back it up that far, but I mean, now that we're talking about pre-event, I mean, you got to talk about you're a salesman, especially if you work for my company, the DJs sell it. You still sell. You've got a couple guys in the office that sell.
And I know we have a lot of listeners who are single ops, and you're obviously you're everything. You're selling, you're marketing yourself, and you're getting out there. I don't know a lot of single ops that are successful enough that they would have a salesperson working for them.
Yep.
I know we have a local photographer who's like that. Like he's one of those really, really high end photographers, and he doesn't meet the client until they book him. Mm-hmm. He's got a salesperson for that. So, but I don't know a lot of single op DJs that have that kind of business model.
Hiring manager, HR manager, I mean, you're hiring people if you're growing your multi-op. Even if you're single op, you still usually have other people that work for you, whether
you might have an assistant or something else.
Yep. Or a photo booth person.
So as far as the event goes, you're right. Roadie is the least glamorous probably job that we do, right? Is there anything less glamorous than that?
No. But you still, Mike, like I do. I mean, I know you usually have somebody with you, but you still set up the gear pretty much.
Joe, I tested the model a few years ago, many years ago, where I had somebody, I paid him extra. He brought the gear, he set it up. I got there so early, I was helping him set up. So the only difference is that it didn't arrive in my car, it arrived in his.
Yeah.
And I'm like, I can't do it. I don't think I'll ever have. And I guess part of it was trust in somebody else, but a big part of it is just, like I told you before we went on air. Joe asked me if I had any events this weekend. I only have an officiating event.
Sure.
Now, so Dominic is the DJ and I'm the officiant. As the officiant, I really only need to get there about 20 minutes before start time, have everybody sign the piece of paper, and then go. But I'll be there an hour before start time because it's just ingrained in me.
Right.
And I'll probably help Dominic set up. Like I'll probably be schlepping gear in, even though that's not but that's just who I am. So I don't think I'll ever get to that part where I leave the gear to somebody else.
I don't think
either striking or setting up.
I don't think I will either. Mike, let me ask you a quick question. If Dominic wasn't the DJ for this particular event, would you have had to carry out like a little rig, like a little PA rig?
No. The officiants in New Jersey, they have nothing. I mean, listen, I'll offer that to a client.
Sure.
It's going to cost them. In other words, like if they had a band or another DJ for their wedding, I've only done one like that where they weren't even using Elite Entertainment.
Yeah.
But I mean, when I showed up, the DJ had a small system for me. He had a microphone. He and I just talked about music real quick, and then we went. Okay. So no, and it's the same thing when I do the music for a ceremony that has hired an officiant. I'm providing everything musically and a microphone and everything else.
I'm going to just make a note to come back around to this because I really am curious about the whole process.
Careful, this is a tangent. You don't want to piss that guy off. Stay on top.
I'm coming back around to this. You guys remind me that I want to talk more to Mike on another episode. This is a whole episode about being an officiant. But,
I think so. It's something that more and more people are doing. And and listen, I've only just started growing this part of my business. We should get a guy like Jake on, who's been doing this longer and does way more. And then I think it's also interesting. You know what? Let's stay on topic.
Okay,
we'll talk about this.
Yeah. I love it. Future topic. So the next thing, and I love this post, and I think it's becoming kind of a tradition for you. My view of 1,000 ceremonies. We're a sound man now. We are you.
Yeah, that's sort of caught on, hasn't it?
It is. I think it's funny.
For any listener who doesn't, I usually, if I'm doing the sound at a ceremony, I take a picture from behind the speaker. and I like Brady actually like, Mike, if you moved over a foot, you wouldn't be behind the speaker. I'm like, duh, it's for perspective. Asshole. Sorry, Melody. Don't say asshole, Melody.
Don't say that.
But yeah, I mean, it's for perspective. I'm just trying to prove the point. But yeah, I've been tagging that as my view of 1,000 ceremonies, of which I probably haven't done 1,000 ceremonies yet because I'm closing in on 3,000 weddings. But keep in mind, my first 10 years doing this, I don't think I did a ceremony.
No, that wasn't a big thing. It
wasn't a thing.
Yeah, no,
I wish I could remember when it started becoming a thing. But yeah, I mean, back in the day, everybody still got married. I started in '88. Everybody still got married in a church. And so my first probably 1,000 weddings, I didn't provide the music. So maybe I am closing in on 1,000 ceremonies. I don't know. I just didn't keep a record of it.
I wish I had kept it. So do you really have a record of, do you really know that
so every year I tally up my year and I have the oldest Word document in the world that I've carried through probably
it like creaks when it opens.
Yeah.
Like,
and I break it down with events and weddings.
Sure.
So yeah, I mean, if you want, I'll check the numbers by next week so I can tell you exactly.
I wish I had done that, man.
Yeah.
Damn it.
Yeah. You know what I started doing when I first started DJing? I would grab the matches every wedding again back in the 80s.
Right.
And I did that for like a year, and I had a bowl in my first apartment I moved to, and I would just toss it in there. And then I forgot at a couple of weddings, but I mean now that's not a tradition I could have continued because nowadays how many brides and grooms do the matchbooks anymore?
We've started collecting koozies or beer huggers.
A lot of them do that.
Dude, I have a stack this tall back in the back, and we were gonna decorate like the Christmas tree this year with them.
Cool idea. That's great. Yeah, we see that often. I see it from time to time.
Rednecks love a beer hugger down here, man. They love them. Those dudes in Australia, that guy Ben, Ben Shipway, he came he calls him he's like, I don't know what a hugger is. I can't do an Australian accent. He goes, they call them stubby coolers. Stubby coolers. Anyway, all right, so we're a sound man, no doubt. Which is I made a video recently for the Vault about this, and I said it's the most rail riding, nerve-wracking 30 minutes of my entire week. When that bride walks down the aisle and you have to hit play and you just are like, get down the aisle, get down the aisle, get down the aisle. And then the microphone, and again, I know you and I have discussed this. You went wired.
This is why I went wired. As long as I can reach from my gear to... I go with a wired microphone because it's not going to cut out. I've had some officiants look at me like I'm backwards. Right. And then I say to them, hey, when was the last time you used a cordless and it lost signal? And I go, yeah, that's a good point. And listen, again, I'm officiating tomorrow. I hope Dominic uses a wired mic because if it's wireless, I might cut out. And that just, and then everybody turns around and looks at you.
Yeah.
And yes. And you can sound check and it's perfect. And then it breaks up during the ceremony. You know what changed? 150 cell phones.
People.
You put right. You set up. You're 100 feet away, and you sound checking. The room's empty, and you're like, it's perfect.
Yeah.
Put 150 cell phones between you and that signal now, and Ben Stowe is probably slamming his hand somewhere, saying that has nothing to do with it. But I think it does.
I mean, I don't know if that does either. Again, that's a Ben Stowe question, but I guarantee 150 bodies. People between you, whatever they bring in.
I know that I have plenty of time sound check.
Yep.
Yeah, it was fine, and then all of a sudden during the ceremony, it's not. And so yeah, you're right. But even during the event, I mean, during the event, we're sound men. We have to make sure everything sounds good. I know a lot of DJs who never get out from behind the equipment. I would suggest, if no other reason, every once in a while you walk around the dance floor and walk around the room to check your volume, because what you hear behind the system is not what people hear at table 8 and what they hear on the dance floor and what they hear at the head table. So, even if you're not an interactive DJ, you need to leave your table from time to time 100%. And just make a circumference around the room to hear how it sounds everywhere. I
was going to exactly say that, Mike. I was I'm not going to say what the brand of speaker was, but forever I thought I was sounding amazing, and then I happened to I walked out on the dance floor one night, kind of in the middle, or maybe the restroom was, over there, and this was the dance floor in front of me. And I got about halfway through the dance floor, kind of running to the restroom, like during the dance set, and was like, God, this sound system sucks. It sounded amazing where I was. Yeah, but anyway.
Yeah.
So
programmer.
Yep, programmer.
Programming is a big part of what we do. Obviously, crucial. Every time I bring up mixing, people say, well, programming is more important. And I'm like, they're equally important. Yeah. Shut up. Who cares? But yes, programming is a huge part of what we do. Selecting the next song. And it's one of the reasons why when you get done with a 4-hour event, your head is about to explode, because you've made, you think about it, you've made 70 to 80 decisions all on right. They're minor little decisions, but your brain is always working. Like, this song is working. What am I doing next? What am I doing the song after that? How am I getting here? How long am I taking this set? Should I slow it down now? Oh, dinner's in 15 minutes. Can I get to dinner without slowing it down? All these little mini decisions don't seem like a lot, but you add them up, and that's why sometimes I get out of a gig and I just like, my head's about to explode.
That's why you can't go to sleep right away.
That's right. Yeah.
Chess, not checkers. So MC, obviously, you're an MC.
Right. Yes. And I think that's fairly universal, right? I mean, is there anybody listening? If there are any listeners who have that role and are DJs and don't MC, I'd be interested in how you have that business model. I know that there are some multi-ops who split the two.
Same.
There's a DJ and then there's also a separate MC. But in the way I was trained and the way we do it at Elite, we do both.
Yeah. I had I do remember a husband and wife team I hired early on, and he was a good DJ, but he didn't want to be on the mic, so she did all the emceeing.
Right.
Yeah.
And I did one event in my life that way, or actually two now, because I worked with Marcello a few years ago, where I just DJ'd and he did the emceeing.
Yeah.
And I was actually pretty happy, because I felt he must trust me. He very rarely asked me what song was next.
Oh wow!
Like, it was interesting to see Marcello working the dance floor, and pretty much he would hear the new song come in and roll with it. But then I also did the flip where I was the MC and I worked with a DJ, and I hated that experience, because
You mean it wasn't one of your guys?
It wasn't one of my guys,
right.
And I don't want to say too much because I don't want to reveal too much. It was an industry thing, and he made a lot of musical choices that I never would have made.
Sure.
And I made some suggestions, and he was like, I got this. So he didn't even want my input. And I don't think I would ever do that role again. If I'm emceeing, I want to have at least some say in the program. Yeah, no doubt. Yeah.
So the next thing, and you and I have talked about this on and off, about what do you say, Mike, again, out of all the weddings you do a year, how many times you see an actual wedding planner?
5%.
Wow. Yeah. I think for us, it's more like 35%.
Yeah. But keep in mind,
we become the wedding planner, I guess that's my point.
Yeah. But keep in mind, in my market, we have very strong maitre d's.
Yes.
The maitre d is the wedding planner once the reception begins. And I actually had this last weekend. I had a wedding. They had a wedding planner up until they got to the banquet hall. Mm-hmm. So he helped the bride with the timeline before the reception, before they got to the banquet hall. But I said hello to him before ceremony, And then he walked away, and I said to the bride, "Are we working?" And she's like, "Oh no, he's leaving now."
Yeah.
So that I think we see from time to time. But once you get to our banquet halls, the maitre d' is in charge.
Yeah, it's definitely different down here. I mean, we see wedding planners, and they usually. There are some day of, but there's some people that handhold them through the whole year, help them design the room and everything. So when they're not there, though, we are the wedding planner. Is everybody in the room?
I'd be interested in asking Jason Janai that question. I don't know if he sees more of them. I mean, we do similar weddings, but a little bit different. I don't know if he sees more wedding planners than we do. We just don't see that many.
Normally, like if I'll watch his stories on a Saturday or something, and he'll kind of shout out somebody, it's normally the person from the venue, like you were saying, like the maitre d' or the captain or whatever.
Right.
So anyway, we've kind of been tasked with that role. Let me rewind real quick and ask you a quick question. The times that I've not emceed, which I just remembered have been a few times. It was they were African American weddings, and that's almost like an honor or a role that they give to a family member. So,
yes.
And
but are you talking about just for introductions or the rest of the night? Are they working the floor? Well, you don't really do a lot of that interaction.
Right. No, but they pretty much were the MC. I mean, now that
you bring that up, I had forgotten it, but I wrote an article for Disc Jockey News about it. I had a wedding last year.
Yeah.
They were from the islands. They were from Haiti or Dominican.
Sure.
And they had hired an MC. And I was glad they did, because first of all, she spoke. Is it Haitian that's spoken down there? I forget what it was, but she was bilingual.
Yeah.
So she was able to speak, and she was way more outrageous than I was.
Yeah.
She was bumping and grinding with people on the dance floor and everything. She did a kind of a newlywed type game that was out of my comfort zone, but it worked. You know what I mean? Yeah. And I wrote quick plug to Disc Jockey News. I did write an article about it because it was a unique experience for me. But so I had forgotten about that or blocked it out, either one. But it was that one was a fun experience for me. All I had to do was mix. She made very few suggestions, so she just, similar to working with Marcello, she just ran with my programming.
Sure. Have you ever had a translator at a wedding? Like I did a Chinese wedding, and I had a Chinese.
I've had that a few times. I've also had sign, which is very interesting. It's very interesting to work with somebody who's signing next to you. Yeah.
In real time, like doesn't know what you're saying or going to say. It's unreal.
Yeah.
DJ, obviously, we talked about programming. All right, so
go back to your wedding planning point. Whether you have wedding planners, we don't for the most part, but that doesn't mean we're not also doing some form of organization. And
100%.
I mean, I'm often lining up the bridal party.
100%.
I'm often huddling with the maitre d' throughout the night, talking about timeline.
100%.
It's often up to the kitchen when the food comes out. Obviously, that's but. For example, cake cutting, we usually do cake around an hour left in the night. I know that's different in your timeline, but I mean, we have a lot of very cool maitre d's by us that if I've got a packed dance floor at 10 o'clock and I go, can I get 10 more minutes? They're like, yeah, sure. So, I mean, there's some timeline coordination and different things that we do. So whether you have a planner or a strong maitre d' or whatever, I think day of event planning is one of the roles that we definitely play.
You have to, or at least have to be able to,
or at least involved in it.
Yeah.
Whether we're the decision maker or not, we are involved in it, and ultimately we're the ones communicating it. When they tell me dinner's ready, clear the dance floor, great. Well, I'm still the one that going back to programming. I have to end the set now, kick it down, and then I would think most people at least make that announcement. Ladies and gentlemen, dinner served. Have a seat. We'll get you back on the dance floor afterwards.
Sure.
So that's where your programming and your emceeing come in.
Yeah. I mean, and while we're in that wedding planner phase, I mean, I just want to add in, a helper. So Steve Stowe that works for me, he's worked for me for 12 plus years. I mean, he gets there even earlier than I get to an event, sets up in 25 minutes probably. And then, man, I mean, I've heard multiple stories of this guy lighting candles, tying on chair covers, just being just a solid dude.
If I'm set up early, and I think most of my staff is the same way, we will at least offer that. Now, there are some banquet halls that are like, don't worry about it, thank you. And which is nice. At least we have offered. But yeah, I mean, have I poured champagne plenty of times? I don't know that I've ever tied chairs. To me, that's probably something way more dainty that I could handle to make look nice. But I mean, I can definitely pour champagne. I can definitely help set up a room. I can move tables. So yeah, I've done that. And it's not just, this is a banquet hall that recommends me, so I'll do it. I'll offer prefer whether I know the people or
Same.
not.
And I think everybody should.
Because you're nothing. You're standing around. You know.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And you know, who's the first person they think of the next time they, you know, somebody says, we need a DJ.
Right.
Damn, Mike Walter was in here to help me move those tables last week.
Right. And then he rocked the wedding.
Yeah. My hard and fast, though, is that cake. I've been asked 2 or 3 times, and I'm just
I won't never touch that cake. I'm not going to do it.
I can't do it.
It's too much goes into it. I don't want to be the guy that drops it or trips.
And those legs don't lock properly or something.
Yeah.
Anyway, light tech. I know you guys.
Yeah, I was going to say that's the big difference. If I didn't have a chance to go back yesterday and reread the article that I wrote for KC again, probably years ago, but I don't think I mentioned that because upgrades at that point were not as prevalent as they are today. Yeah. And I'll give you a great example of I worked with Tom Monaco last weekend at a wedding. Right. Tom was the light tech, and man, was he in sync with my playing. And I told him afterwards, I said, look, our light guys are good. Our technicians are good. Yeah. But they need to work with you because he was freaking on it with the dropping the uplighting on the I mean, really, really good. So whether we do that ourselves or we have somebody working with us, I mean, that's a role that we, you know, when you have upgrades like that, you can really help maximize the party. Yep,
I agree. And then finally bringing it all home, the last few minutes here of the show. So, Mike, remind me what the post said. The post, there was a post on.
The one that somebody tagged us in?
So the last thing is the DJ is a dancer or a motivator.
I took a screenshot, but I don't know if I saved it.
Okay.
Anyway, shoot.
You want me to paraphrase it?
No, I think I deleted it.
It's all right.
It was something about DJs do more DJing mixing and less dancing.
Yeah. DJs worry more about mixing and less about dancing. And then there was a series of little GIFs or GIFs and videos and, you know, clips of DJs just wilding out behind the booth. But I think we will both agree on this. There's nothing more boring than a DJ back there, even if the dance floor is rocking, just pushing buttons.
Yep.
You know, if you're not
staring at his computer.
Yeah, and staring at his laptop. Like, you know, I put my laptop in the middle. A lot of people smartly put it to the left or the right so that that
they're open.
Yeah. It was confusing my brain.
I'm fortunately tall enough to have the laptop right in front of me.
And I intentionally made my booth lower than everybody else. Even my facade, I had the guy that built it cut it lower. So I am short. But, I mean, at the very least,
little plug from my seminar.
Yeah. Go ahead.
A little plug from my seminar at Mobile Beat. I will be talking about this topic. I actually show that, which is one of the reasons why I took a screenshot, but I've already put it in my seminar. But I talk about that and I say, look, it's not a universal thing. Clearly, here's a guy who disagrees. But first of all, I think it makes it harder to mix. I don't know. When I mix, I'm moving around to the external song and trying to basically.
Hold up. You cut out a second, Mike. Oh, no. Hold on. We might have to edit this. Hold on, Mike, if you can hear me. Okay. All right. I lost.
I definitely lost you. Yeah,
it's
definitely lost you.
So just remember this, Mike. At the 28-minute mark, there's going to be a drop. So
I'm going to have to squeeze these together.
So you go. You were about to say, and we cut out. Sorry, guys. You said, I don't know how you DJ without.
I don't know how you stand still and mix. I just don't know how you do it. Right. To me, if you're like, I move around to the external song and I try to match up what I'm hearing internally. Right. So besides the fact that you look boring standing there, I think you make mixing harder. You know?
I'm a firm believer that the reason I have this plantar fasciitis in my right foot is I do the stomp thing. I start stomp, like if I'm really into it, I'm stomping on the one like like adding more bass somehow to the floor. Then I think that's why my heel is blown out currently. So I think Mike and I both can agree on this. I mean, am I back there doing the worm or like jumping jacks? No, but I'm dancing, I'm rocking, and you know, like that video I posted a couple of weeks ago, I wrote, this is some rare shit. I don't know if you saw it, Mike, but like the mother of the bride, her face wasn't even like happy. She looked at me and she made eye contact, and I was like, you know, is everything good? She was like, yeah, but her face was deadpan, and she goes, you come out here. And I'm like, I was like, oh no, I get,
because she had seen you dancing and she wanted,
and I was like, oh shit. So I was like, I put on a long song, and sure enough, I'm out there in the middle, and the bride and everybody's like, "Yeah." I was like, "Damn."
See, Joe, what happens when you get on the dance floor?
And every comment was like, "Mike Walter would be proud." Mike would be proud.
I missed that one. I gotta go. But this goes back to the point I made in my seminar last year at Mobile Beat. Some people say I'm not interactive. I'm not an interactive DJ. Even if you're dancing behind your board, you're interacting. It's not a black and white thing. It's a gray area thing. Yeah. Maybe you don't interact from the dance floor, whereas I do. I do sometimes. There are DJs who are out there all the time. So, in the spectrum of interactivity, you're here, I'm here, and other people are here, but you're still interacting.
Sure. It's I think some people are super extra, really.
No doubt. And it works for them.
Right, exactly. Yeah. Well, that's it. About half hour there. So when this drops, this will be the launch of the DJ's Vault will be official. So if you hadn't checked it out, the DJsVault.com, thedjsvault.com. Check it out.
Awesome.
Mike, anything else to add?
I think we nailed it.
Nailed it. Thanks, guys.
Stayed on topic for the most part. A couple tangents. Sorry to lose people, but we did our best.
We did our best. Later, guys.